The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Test, test. I'm getting green buttons, or green bars, so it looks like it should be good. Greetings, greetings. How's everybody doing? Feeling a little bit better. I've been deep in work today and early trading, so didn't have time to feel sorry for myself about not feeling the best. Your first live OCR. Well, your first and last one for a while. Sorry about that. But they all are recorded. And they're almost just as good. So how's everybody doing? We're now officially in September. We're in the last 4 months of the year. It's a rush to the holidays. Well, it won't be a rush, but it'll go that fast that it'll seem like a rush. Yep, Matt, it's just a week away. We'll be down in Fort Lauderdale. And those that are going down, I have today as the day before the event to meet and greet and trade and train and Q&A. So it should be a good time. It can be hectic, but it'll be a good time. Yep, fall push it is. 2 a.m. Friday morning. Yep. Well, your weekend's there. Appreciate you tuning in from afar. We got some Asian folks. We got some Australian folks. We got some New Zealand folks. Yep, Clay, down to the compound. Clay and myself and a few others. Tim, I think you're there too, right? Are staying at this monster of a B&B, Airbnb. I believe it's ranked as the second largest in the world. Yeah, Josh is going to be there. Oh, okay. Clay and you were rooming together. Awesome. Yeah, that should be an interesting place. The pictures of it look phenomenal. People are like, where are you going to be meeting? You know, we're going to meet in your room. We're going to meet where we're going to meet. I see a picture of that pool, and I'm like, I'm going to be out there. Somebody's going to bring me something. Umbrella drink, tequila. Whatever you guys could pick up while I'm in a lounge chair. No Mountain Dews. Well, Dallas can have his Mountain Dews. We gotta get some supply of Mountain Dews just for Dallas. He's been under the weather all week too, so. Well, if you're dipping into the pocketbooks for good tequila, I'm not going to turn it down. I'm not much of a beer guy. Cut the grass, go for a long hike and get all hot and sweaty. I like a cold beer. But all right, so the rest of you aren't here to talk about beer and tequila, but it is our last session for a while, and I want to talk. We're going to finish up on waveology, and so since it's the last session, you can't help but have a little bit of a Thursday soapbox from me. I'll have a presence known, but there's a little bit of, I have concern with some traders who, now again, we span the time frame here, guys, with TAB29 traders. There are many of you who are literally weeks in, and there are many of you who are multi-years in. So obviously, you have to temper anything I say in here based on how long you've been around. When I do group spanks, it's for the more tenured traders who have been here and should know better. It's not directed at the new guys. Oh my God, he's so mean. And sometimes, I'm trying to do something for the newer traders, and the older traders, get a little frustrated and impatient. It's like, hey, remember, you were a new trader once too. So I'm addressing everybody. Just have to temper it based on where you are. But anyway, I think some traders are I'm holding them back rather than helping them. And that doesn't mean I'm wasting their time. It doesn't mean I'm taking them in the wrong directions. It just means I'm not allowing some traders to be MacGyver enough to figure stuff out on their own, to put their priorities to work. The way you really have to look at trading and learning is as if there's nobody else trading. There's no coaches around to help you. You've got the videos that you can watch where most of the things have been answered in some way, shape, form. And you're the last person on earth. You still have internet and you still have access to the videos. And your food supply has been rigged to your success in trading. I bet you'll find a way. But I think I've allowed some people to be programmed at a subconscious level, because Steve does OCRs, Steve, does this, Steve does that, that there's, hey, you got time, take your time. You're not ready to trade because you don't know it all because Steve's still teaching. Yeah, thank you, Mark. Always Mark would come up with that comment. Mark's asking, who's the other trader on the other side of the position? If you're the last one on earth. It's a machine. You're trading against Yeah, I mean, Josh, to some extent. Yeah, this is Josh Davis. Steve is burning the boats. To some extent. To some extent. Skynet. And I'll tell you why I've come to this conclusion. One, I'll just be transparent. I've never been anything less than transparent with you guys. Let's do some OCRs for TAB29. This is just robbing my time. Let's go be, director of swipe trades at IML. That's just robbing my time. Do 3 live sessions a week at IML that are supposed to last an hour, and they typically last an hour and a half, sometimes 2. That's robbing time from Steve. When, Steve's got his own probably overly ambitious schedule. And some of you have been around Zoe and Mark and, Theo, Michael Board. Let me look around here. Have been around long enough to, know I've got books that's kind of like a joke, but progress is being made, just not fast enough. It's all right, Clay. So I see my own distractions, and because I haven't prioritized things exactly the way I want to, my trading is okay. Okay at this point is okay, trust me, but it's okay. And I can't, I have to do a little bit of, I don't have to, but from the way I operate, you got to practice what you preach a little. So, um, some time for reflection in this last session. And I'll tell you why. So I talk about, being director of swipes at IML has, taken some time, especially with what I'm taking over. But I've also had, kind of a little mission. And I went to the first 6 traders they have there in the swipe trades team. And I looked at them and I watched what they're doing. And I look at their attitudes. And I said, I'm gonna pick one of these guys, and I'm gonna let them know what TAB29 is, because they're all kind of naked traders, and I'm gonna let him see the difference between naked trading and TAB29. So I approached him about 2 weeks ago, to be exact. It was the 24th of August. And I said, because he knows me, he knows of me, he's heard of me, he's heard of, I've got this new paradigm thing, because he's had people from IML come to him and ask him about it, So he says, yeah, I want to get to know this, because, got a lot of people talking it up. So that was a Friday. And what I did was a 1-hour overview of harmonic wave convergence. Essentially drew the comparison I think I drew out the last 2 weeks here, where I showed, hey, look, Elliott wave looks at market structure, but it looks at it from a Fibonacci measurement perspective. It's fractal, so they can measure, the same percentages at lower scales, at upper scales, and blah, 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 and versus harmonic wave convergence, which looks at trend exhaustion, wave exhaustion at multiple time frames, and identifies the same turning points, most of them, actually more. And so I explained that. So, he had not a lot of understanding of Elliott wave. He knew what it was, but he's never looked at it seriously. So he's a little bit intrigued by that. So that's essentially, that was the lead in. And I said, but here's the deal. Because we do it MTF-A, we've drilled those boxes down. You all know the box story, or those of you who don't, you'll learn it soon enough, right? And you drive that down so you could get the tight entry on those larger time frames. Larger being 15, 30, 60, even 240, come a bigger box. But even at the 30-minute level, driving it down, 10, 5, 1, 10, 15, 10, 1, whatever it be. We get that tight box. So that intrigued them, because, swipe trades is evaluated not just by pips, but by profitability of those pips. And that's what the end user experiences or doesn't experience. So it really was, it was about an hour and 5 minutes, because I was literally trying, I had about an hour to give them. So about an hour and 5 minutes. And then after that, I gave him the PTR page. For those in Precision Traders, that's just the list of archive videos. There's not, compared to Shredder, there's not hardly, it's like 1/10 that. There's a few introductory videos, like 8, and then the TAB29 course, and then I think it goes out to another 12 videos for a total of 20 or something like that, with bonuses and all. So not tons, but enough. There's enough content there. So he took that, and that was in the morning. In the afternoon, he was already showing me a TAB29 setup. Same day. So then he spent the rest of that time all the way through here. Now, I have to do the background on this. Would I recommend what he did? Absolutely not. You know that. I don't like binge watching. But this is a trader. This is a trader who makes his living off his trading. And I will tell you, he's 23 years old or thereabouts. Hasn't been trading that long. but his living comes from his trading. Not necessarily good either. That was the rookie mistake I made. Pull it out, make some more, pull it out, make some more, pull it out. But it was more important to him to have that time to trade and to be that, not have a job to go to, not have that kind of obligation. So he's been free from a job for quite a while now and spends his time trading. Okay. So he had TAB29, and Saturday morning he sends me a note, Facebook message. Man, I'm just, I cannot believe this. I cannot believe this was out there and I didn't know about it. He's just diving into the first handful of videos. Then he hits the TAB29 material, and throughout the day I was getting messages, and I could tell, 9 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock at night, he's immersed himself in this study. Okay. And so he spent this week here, the 26th through the 31st, through the 1st, actually just studying. And then, the last few days he was doing demo trades. And he says, I can't believe what I'm doing with my demo trading. Just ripping it. And I said, yeah, demo's demo. But, you say demo's demo to a newer trader who hasn't gone live yet. This guy has been live. And this guy not only has been live, he's essentially responsible for trades that 30,000 other people are taking. So if you want to talk about your head game being a little different and more concretized, it's when you have 30,000 followers taking your trades. So demo is not demo when you're talking to a person at that level. Okay. And then he went live this past Sunday. I got a report very early Tuesday that was a little hard to believe. But again, for the Swipes team, they are now trading in designated accounts that I have access to. And I know this guy's a straight shooter, but later on he did send me some sample trade, not sample, but he did send me screenshots of Trading Station. So he did just incredible here. I mean, eye-opening, unbelievable, the kind of trading in 2 days that most people won't do in a month or 2 or 3. But again, no job, no responsibilities. He, sits at his computer desk 18 hours a day. And no names. Don't worry about the names. Probably wouldn't guess it anyway. And, well, some markets are open. Yeah. So anyway, I get a message from this morning, so you better be sitting down, because you're gonna want to ponder this for a second, the implications. He's been very gracious because he just feels the training has been tailored to him, even though it's just from videos. Okay. Now, let me tell you what he's doing. Because he hasn't mastered TAB29. Mastered in the sense that he can apply it everywhere in all situations. What he has done is, while he was reading and working through the end of this week and doing his demo trades, he was saying, I could pick off 5 to 10 pips anytime I look at a chart, just with convergences and POT trading. And I said, yeah, pretty much. And he said, if I put 5 or 6 pairs out there, he said, I can't get to the trades fast enough. So he's poking a little fun at his teammates here And there's supposed to, I guess, be a B here. I got this at 11:06 this morning. So, just an hour ago. Swipe trades guy be like, market's been trashed this week, but I caught over 800 pips the last 3 days with tab 29. Now, I'm not saying you have to be a burst trader, but you got to remember tab 29's whatever the name would be, precursor or predecessor or predecessor or whatever, was called SBT. That's where we first had the concept of trend bars with this SBT. And SBT stood for shredder burst trading. It's a great way to capture that burst move while all the other indicators would lag and not even show it to you until it's, 15, 30 pips into the trade. So then about 10 minutes after that, I was joking with them because most of the swipe traders use big stop because they're all naked traders. They're old paradigm traders. Most of their work's on 4-hour charts, sometimes 60, but nothing wrong. They're good traders at what they do. They're consistent enough if you follow them, long enough. But it is old paradigm. And so he's really doing the SBT part of tab 29 because that's where his knowledge is. He's like, this is candy from a baby, 10-minute convergences, 10-minute POT. If it's not there, move on. There's another pair that has it. Just look. So about 10 minutes after this one, another one. I was joking with him and said, yeah, and I bet every one of your trades had 50 pip stop losses, right? Laughing my ass off. Facts. Last night went 5 for 5, no drawdown at all, just spread on every one, ended up with 180 pips, all 3 pip stops. Now, let's talk about that. He's using the 310. He finds the 310 the most amazing thing he's ever seen in trading training. Oops, 37. And I'm not saying I wasn't available for him, but he felt a little, whatever the word would be, intrusive to be asking me questions along the way. He just MacGyvered his way through the system. He had the videos. This is his personal account. So the 180 is included in this, but it was just last night. And he was just commenting because, too many times in the old paradigm, and this, guys that have been around a long time, I've drawn this so many times. In the new paradigm, they finally get confirmation it's safe to enter, and of course they gotta cover that whole thing there, right? And so price doesn't just go from here to here like I drawn it. It does its cycling, which means there are times, of course, some of the traders were complaining because when they enter a trade on that pair, let's say this is the US yen, when a swipe trader enters a trade for that pair is now locked. Nobody else can enter trades on that. So I've seen entries like this on a Sunday night, and Thursday, price is still meandering around between their entry and their stop loss. Pair locked up that whole week. And so, what this trader is like, we don't have moments of drawdown like that. It either goes or it doesn't. Most of the time it does. When it doesn't, okay, -3, -4, -5, whatever it is. But think about this in these trades that he's describing. This 180 last night out of the 800 total, 5 for 5, okay, but 180 pips. So if he does 180 pips and he's putting 2% into a 10 pip stop loss, He just scored 18 units of 2% or 36%. Now, what's nice about that is, I've seen traders talk about, I made 35% of my account yesterday. Yeah, they're 1,001 leverage where they went 10% into the trade, had no stop loss, etc. So it can be done. This is 36% with a 310 stop loss. 36% net with a 310 stop loss. And, when we were talking, he's like, this isn't trading. This is just, it's right there in front of you. There's no stress. There's no guessing as to where it's going to go. There's no repeated market analysis, day to day to day to day. There's no limit orders, no limit entries, buy stop, sell stop, etc. It's all live, real time. Go to the charts, trade, put pips in the bank. Go to the charts, trade, put pips in the bank. What does he mean 5 for 5? He took 5 trades and won 5 trades. None of them had drawdown. So he's 5 for 5, no drawdown. But here again, I'm not trying to brag, but it does talk about the capabilities. And I'm not trying to, make any of you feel guilty because you're not making 180 pips a night. I didn't make 180 pips last night, so, But it is a little bit of a wake-up call, because what I'll tell you about this trader is there's a difference between selling out for the short term in order to win for the long term. This kid's 23. I have no doubt he's going to have multi-millions in the bank by age 25. No doubt. Just because of what he's done the last, 9 months to a year in general with his life. Sets goals and goes for it. Makes things his priority, and then he excels with it. And, the problem is when you get into a routine, all the human potential gurus out there, get into the routine, change your habits, change your routine, get into a good routine, and things are wonderful. Olson talks about it in the Slight Edge. We don't just talk about that equity curve like that. We talk about the lack of effort equity curve over time. And how it's so easy to not do anything. Those become routines and habits too. And then all of that permanent programming into your subconscious mind. It thinks, well, I did this yesterday, I did that yesterday, I ran that errand, I watched that video, I did this, I did that. And it doesn't seem to have hurt me. I know it doesn't help me, but it doesn't seem to have hurt me. And that's because you're here on that curve making that call. At some point, a decade or two goes by and you're down here, and now you're reflecting on all that time that you were occupied with so many things that had no big meaning in your life. No big meaning in your life. No big meaning in your life. The stupid conversations, the wasted time, not focused on your priorities. And so it's an easy routine to get into. I was kind of admitting at the start of this, being transparent, that, I've done some of that. That's me a little. So it's time to just, the fall push, the timing is good. We're here at the end of the year. We got 4 months to go, less than that now. And it's time to really clarify where your Forex is. What is your effort? Well, I don't have time. I've got this. I've got that. I've got a job. I've got a family. I've got church. I've got, and it's like, well, guess what? That same story is going to continue for years. The only way you're going to be up here is to change that story right here and make other things your priority for a short time. You're making time now to buy your independence down here, time and money. Money's all cool and everything, but time, you want the time to enjoy it. And so, Brian Tracy, you got to pay the price, and you always pay it up front. Muhammad Ali, he uses the word suffer, but I think that's just too negative of a word rather than sacrifice. Sacrifice now. Big thing, so I'm just going to leave this subject here with prioritize. What are your priorities? And don't think about them just right here. What are your priorities down here? 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 years down the road. You're never going to have that if your routine is just consistent here. If you don't have the time, I guess, one of the things in network marketing world, when you got somebody you can, you're already buddied up to in a way, you become, you're not necessarily besties, but you can talk turkey with them and they're giving you excuses about time. Guess what? Your time, as life moves forward, gets tighter and tighter and tighter. It doesn't free itself up. It doesn't free itself up. So when people say, well, I don't have the time right now, the question is, oh, really? When will you have the time? Because this is what's going to happen. This is just what's going to happen. Oh, I've got to do this for my grandma. Oh, I got to do this for church. Oh, I got to do this for that. Oh, I've got to go to the PTA meeting. Oh, I got to cook cupcakes for the soccer league, on and on and on. Rather than saying, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to take this bit. Oh, Steve. I'm going to take this bit of time and I'm going to work my butt off. And so I have that the rest of my life. Well, I can't draw a box big enough to include that. So I have that the rest of my life, right? You got to find the time if you want to make a change. Otherwise, and I've said this before, if you can't find the time, and it's more so about doing a reflection, thinking about this, thinking about why we didn't make 800 pips this past week, and realizing we just, the difference between us and that trader was that trader decided to make it a priority. And, is he missing out on stuff? Yeah, I'm sure. As a young man, he's missing out on a lot of the social scene that most of us go through from 20 to 24. But there's going to come a point 2, 3, 5 years from now where we're still going to be, watching TV on a Friday night, and he's going to be driving his yacht to some new harbor and socializing with other mega millionaires. Object in motion stays in motion. Keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. Insane, right? So you just have to figure out what you want. And I know some of you will beat yourselves to death, and I'm just going to tell you from a behavioral standpoint, from a psychological neuroscience perspective, that's just our mind working on us. That's our ego working on us to defend not having the time. Okay, you're not going to get as much sleep for a year. And there will become a time, again, with this trader when he's 25, where he sleeps in, his commute is a pair of flip-flops and a t-shirt. And all of his contemporaries are getting up an hour and a half early, taking their showers, putting on their suits, driving in the smog for an hour and a half to get to their jobs. So you've got to take some commitment of time. There are some things you're going to have to temporarily burn the boats on. Guess what? When you get past that sacrifice time, that sacrifice period, you'll be able to buy new boats. Don't worry about it. But right now, if they're attracting you, right now, if you get to retreat to time, you get to retreat to your subconscious and your ego's defense. It's okay. You don't have time. Use the time excuse. That's not conscious thinking. That's just what happens in your subconscious, right? So, priorities. Remember, in Goalmaker, one of the things we make clear is that wanting a goal is cool. You know, getting that dream solid, passionate, defined, and then turning it into a goal. Reverse engineering the goal, right? But the challenge with goals is they have to be aligned with our values. And our values is just another word for our priorities. I value this over that. Just remember that might be a helpful thing to do. Write it down on a Post-it note, put it on your monitor, put it on your fridge, and say, oh, that 60 minutes social activity after work, I value that more than time and financial independence 2 to 5 years from now. I value it more because that's what you're really doing. I told you there's nothing more to know. He traded 10-minute harmonic wave convergences and 10-minute POT trades. A few retrace extremes here and there. That's it. But see what happened? Go back to that calendar. See, here's the difference. Boom, 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 boom. He didn't violate what we said. He just compressed it. In the 24-hour period from when he really started demo trading, I had 125 trades. And he said, no, they weren't all winners. But what I saw was what to avoid. I.e., here's his trades, volume of trades. Here's his KSP. He wasn't trading. He wasn't trying to trade 27 different things within tab 29. He was very focused on what he was trading. He took a shitload of trades, excuse my language. He got the volume to see what worked and what didn't work. He didn't need to be told because he was only taking 2 or 3 trades a week and he hasn't had the volume to figure it out yet. So what does that other person? Oh, they go to an OCR to hope to gain more knowledge. He took the volume of trades. He saw what worked and didn't work. He learned how to be selective very quickly because he was immersed in it. No, trading tab 29 for bigger pips, you want to have, alls I do is Charlie Delta pitchforks. I've told you that. But he's not trying to do third and fourth upside down convergences and mixing retraces and trading into impulsivity. Take the convergence, take that first POT trade, which is typically a wave 2. If it's not there, go to the next pair. Don't look and be creative to try and force a trade. There's enough convergences and POT trades that within a 15-minute stretch, you'll find one. R2 or 10. Because POT trades can run. That's why. What happens when you take the first POT trade and then you exit the top, and then it's another one that runs into a snaking 30-minute convergence? I've seen those convergences run forever. And what have we taught? Don't exit at convergence, throw on the haul and let it run. And you learn that fast by a volume of trades. You learn that fast by taking that second, third, or fourth, whatever that POT entry is, that goes to the convergence, that you don't exit just because the 10-minute wave tags the 30. You can, nothing wrong with it, but you can also, you're already in profit. You can set your 40%. The 40% is going to go out in profit, and you set the haul for the next higher level. You're never going to lose more than that 40. And once it gets past that initial convergence, you're good to use that as your stop. It's already been taught. It's already in the videos. I'm just going to say that. He had no private instruction. He had no group to post trades in or to look at trades. He just went and traded. After he knew what the video said, he went back and watched. Where he was weak, he went back and watched. And then he learned by trading, not waiting for somebody to say, here's the rule here, here's the rule there. He learned the rules. See, the rules are there. The stuff I've taught are there from my trading in volumes. He just acted. And yes, he kept it simple. Right on, Todd. That being said, I'm going to do one last thing here before we look at the waveology chart, because we're almost out of time. And I kind of said we'd get to that. Let me see here. Let's see if I can find it. All right, so I want to tell you about something. Don't go looking for it now. I was going to get to it this morning, but I ran late. So I'll get to it later this afternoon. I will put an announcement in the Scans, Forks, and Fibos group. So if you're not a member of that group yet, you should be, because that covers most of my trading. But so what you see on the chart here is our new implementation of the haul. And so I'll clean it up so it might look a little bit more normal to you. So we've been working on this for a little while now. So we're on a 1-minute chart, and what you are normally seeing on a 1-minute chart is the 1-minute haul. Our second version or iteration of this allowed you to put, 30-minute hauls down on lower level charts, 15, 10, and 1-minute charts. You can put the 30 level haul there as a single haul. Now, with this latest version, which is now our third generation, technically 3.1, and we're going to get 3.2 here in the next week or two, but right now, 3.1. And the first thing it allows is multiple time frame hauls. That's why we call it the multiple time frame analysis, HMA, with bands. So what you can do now, here I am on a 1 minute chart, I could put any time period on here. Any time period, 5, 10, 15, 30, 60, 4 hour, 8 hour, even a daily. So I could bring down not just a 30 minute anymore, I could bring down a 240, I could bring down a 60 and put it on my 1 minute chart. All right. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, when you bump up your hulls as you're moving through a trade and you have no idea where it's really going to go, you're going to trust the hull. And the hull will overrule, once you're past a convergence of the time period you're on, the hull will rule and overrule anything on your chart. It's best just to shut down your waves. Double click and get them off your chart. You don't need to see TAB29 or any other indicator in the candlestick field or indicator field that you may use. Let the hull be the guy to figure it out for you. So in this particular case, ran this just local. Okay, what if I wanted on this chart my 5 minute hull? Well, I just changed it from local to 5 minute, 21 bars still, and let the magic of our multiple time frame analysis capability and going into the data feed and pulling other time frames down, put on your chart. Now you see the 5 minute haul on my 1 minute chart. Again, why is that valuable? Because as I finish up a 1 minute trade, if I'm burst trading, I don't want to exit just because I hit the top. I might let the haul take me. Realize it might turn around and retrace up to 23%, which is its average. So you have to get good with your money management. You have to get elementary with your money management. You have to be logical with your money management. But what if the trade keeps going? Well, instead of putting the 30 minute haul on here, we can keep our 5 to see what's going on with the 5 minute haul, but we could put our 30 on here as well. Now you have choices on how you want to put that on here, which is what's cool about this new version. So I could put the 30 minute haul as a moving average, like line, or as a band. So if I say I want the 30 minute haul on here as bands, we could put it on here. Going to have my 5 minute for my HMA, and my band is going to be 30 minute. Now the band is nothing more than the flip point that you would see if you had the moving average on here. Let me change that first one to the 30 minute, and you'll see how the band and the moving average are the same. So now I have my EMA as a 30 minute, and I have the bands at 30 minute, and you'll see there's the point of transition. Ooh ah, ooh ah, ooh ah. So yes, I can keep my 30 minute just to bands, and my haul on the chart a 5 minute or a 10 minute, whatever I want it to be. So very, very, very cool implementation. As I can transition between one haul to the next. Lastly, as I said, we did incorporate all the time frames now. It's not just 30 minute. We got the higher time frames in here. So you can now go to your alerts, and I would actually do it on the chart that I'm on. I'd go to a 30-minute chart if I'm going to do a 30-minute alert. But the implementation is easy. Just add alert. See what we've done. TradingView has, built-in alerts just with their charting, right? I could go do an alert, and when the Aussie crosses, a certain price, when the Aussie crosses a certain moving average, etc. So they there are APIs that go into interfaces, if you will. Application programming interface is what an API stands for. So it's a way of talking to, in this case, TradingView from our particular indicator. So we can add extra capability to what TradingView already has there, and then have TradingView recognize that and show it to you dynamically. So case in point here, if I want to put a flip alert at the point in time where the 30-minute haul flips from red to green. So if I'm in a sell, I want to know at what time this is telling me to get out of the sell. It won't be at the bottom. It'll be on its way back up, all right, but it'll tell me where that point is to get out by having an alert from when the 30-minute haul on a closed candle goes from red to green. And so the alert mechanism, as we've tied into it, allows us to do that. And so you'll see up here, instead of Aussie, we can change that to haul. It knows we have that on the chart dynamically. And right now, you can only do it on the first MA. We're working to see if we can get it on the second MA as an option. And so you could set it, you can set your haul alert, on MA1, which I think we set to what, 10 minutes? So this would be a 10-minute alert, 10-minute haul alert. 40% is the general, as you advance in your trading, you'll recognize areas you need to cover and not cover, but 40% to give you a little bit better protection, a little less erosion. But yeah, so the haul and the erosion at 40%. And that 40% just continues to grow as you grow up in time period. You've got to allow bigger swings if you want it to keep going. But you also set your erosion, case in point, didn't mean to do that. Case in point, if I'm on, let's say, a 10-minute haul and price goes up to here, the indicator goes up to here and starts to flip, and finally, we get the red, I'm measuring that for my 40%. So at this point here, what I would probably do, depending on the size of the target I'm looking at, but most of the time, at least a 25% leg down. Take 25% out at this flip. Now again, this might be the 10-minute or a 15-minute level. So then I'm going to say, well, I got 75% left. I'm going to put that into I'm going to now transition from my 10-15 haul. I'm now going to go to 30-minute. I've got my protection here at 40%. So worst case, from this point on, now that I'm on the 30-minute haul with the remaining 75%, this is my worst case scenario. Which means in the next few seconds, if the 30-minute haul drove down here and finally, the 30-minute haul is going to still be green there. If it drives down here and turns red down here, I've already taken myself out. So if I get that fluke situation where no sooner I transition to my 15 from my 15 because it curled over and went red, and I went 30 and it just continues driving down, I'm still going to get 40%. Now when price moves up, I'm on the 30-minute haul, and the haul turns around and it's going up and it's going up, it's going up. Well, now my 40% is higher. It's up here. And I do the same thing. It's when the haul turns red on my 30, or if 40%, of the move in totality. So once again, those extra lots are here. When the 30-minute finally turns red and I want to go to the 60, it's the same thing. My stop loss stays here just in case it continues to go the rest of the way at the 60. But when the 60 climbs up, my 40% continues to grow with the trade. Now, when the 30 hasn't flipped yet, and my 15's flipped, and I've got my 40% set, it depends on where your risk aversion. You can always get out. I'm not telling you what to do. You could get to 10 pips and see some sort of pullback and exit and just have a 10 pip run every time. There's nothing wrong with that if that's your thing. The other place the haul is really good is when you have convergences. So, maybe your 4-hour wave is working its way up, and I've had a couple of convergences against it, and now I'm having a 30-minute convergence. And I'm trading 15 or 30-minute chart or wave. Instead of exiting there, if that's the first time you're exiting anything, again, you can put whatever mix you want. Depends on whether you feel more comfortable going for bigger pips with the risk or not going for bigger pips. You can exit entirely, so you can take 100% out. You can take 80% out and let the haul run with the other 20%. You can take 50% out, knowing you might want to leg down another time yet. So you have 225s to go because you can keep 50% in on the haul. And what you'll see many times with price, saying this is logical, understanding how the haul works, understanding that it averages in total from the bottom of the move to the time it takes you out is 23% erosion. That's it. Just 23. You get to keep 77% of the move on average. This is why you use it to trade. Every time, use the haul, use the haul, use the haul. You're going to average 77% of the move. So if that's the case, when my 30-minute haul is still green because price has gone up and it looks like it's at a point, but my haul is still green, shadowing along, my haul is still green here at this convergence point, it makes sense to leg down. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to leg down, and not much short of the point where I leg down is going to be my stop. And once again, it's the same reality. If I shift from my 30 to my 60-minute haul at this point, I don't need to, because if the 30 is still green, I have no need to shift. So at some point, if the 30-minute haul decides to turn around and come back as price comes back down, price goes up and comes down and goes through my stop loss, but the haul hasn't turned red yet, I can exit the rest of my trades, or 25%. But now it's not at 40%. It is way up here. I've only bled off a little. If price continues up, price and the haul, let's just talk about the haul goes up, and now it starts to turn over again. Well, now I could be at 40%. I'm not going to go below this. If my 40% is below this, I'm leaving it here, where that convergence was, just below it. I'm leaving it there. If 40% is above this, then I'll move this up to the 40% line. Just depends on how big the move is at that, from the bottom to that convergence, and then how far it's gained on you. So you don't want to put your stop loss below that. That makes no sense. Keep the max profit. So if this does turn around and price actually does turn around on you, and it comes all the way down here before the haul turns red, you're taken out, and so that whatever you had left, the 50%, the 25%, the 80%, whatever you have left, is going to get taken out at the same spot, maybe minus 5 pips, that you would have if you took 100% out to begin with. So it's just, look, Trading 101, I know you all have read this, but you don't know what it means when you read it because you're too new of a trader. And Trading 101 says, let profits run. The trouble is, as a trader, you don't know how to interpret that. You don't know how to implement that. Yeah, just, it depends on scale. I mean, if the move up to here is 100 pips, I have no problem putting my stop loss 10 pips below. because those trades are going to go out at 90 pips if they go out. I'm not, the risk reward here is well worth it based on the hull and the way the hull operates. So the whole goal is always, I've said, is remove yourself from being the trader. See, as you grow in your trading, as you learn to trade, you want to be the big trader. You want to be the guy making decisions. Pound your chest from the Empire State Building, because after all, you're a trader. The trouble with being that trader is now you're liable for the results. And what that does is it puts pressure on you. And what that does, it makes you emotional and panic in your trade if you don't have a solid RAS. Because anytime you're a trader, guess what? You have to be making decisions. And guess what happens when you make decisions? You invite ego and emotion into your trading. And as I've said 1,000 times, ego and emotion are the worst trading partners you can ever have. The Hall is a no thinker. I'm going to do the same thing every time and let 23% average erosion be my guidepost. I don't care this time if I got 38% erosion. Next time I might get 17%. It averages 23% over a volume on all time periods, from 1 minute to 4 hour. I haven't tested 8 to be honest, but 1 minute to 4 hour I've tested and looked at. And it's within 23%, 22.8 to about 23.9. So right in there. It will do more, it will do less, but that's where the average is over a volume of trades. So it's a no-brainer. The more you can make yourself like an EA, the more you can make yourself like a bot that never works, you could be that bot that works. You be super selective with your entries. You filter out the ones that are lottery ticket trades. Yeah, you've won some of them. That's not motivation to take them again. Go with only the super selective trades. That's about as robotic as you get. Money management, use the hull where it makes sense. When you've exceeded a convergence, let some of your profits run. If you want to put in 80%, fine. But as long as you're moving your stop, and just moving your stop short of the convergence, allow it to come in and test that point as a support and resistance. In this case, as I've drawn it as a support barrier. Let it test it. You might want to come back and test that line. What do we call that when it tests that line? We see this all the time in pitchforks. Come on, pitchfork guys. My precision traders guy. What do we call that? Don't let me down on my last day. Thank you, Rowan. Thank you, Luke. It's a pass and check. It's the most strongest indicator, Daniel, yes. It's the strongest indicator you have of a strong line. And what happens then is I have my convergence. I have some sort of pullback. Price goes up and it comes back and checks that. Before it takes off. Which is why when you have your convergence and now you go to your haul here, to see if it's going to run further, you've exited whatever, 75% of your lots at the convergence. So you're letting 25% of your lots run up here. You set your stop loss down here. Allow it to come back and do that pack move, which it will do frequently. If it goes through it and stops you out, oh, big deal. The last 25% got 90% of what your first 75 did. You had very little risk in that. Especially since it's going to get weighted 1 to 4 because it's only 25% of your lots that are having, the 90% or the 90 pips versus the 75 that had 100. Simplest money management you can use. Anytime you have something where there can be a run over, another good example would be what? You have a pitchfork. Since a lot of the traders here trade pitchforks 80% of their time or more. We have a definitive target here per Andrews. So when I come down here and it bounces, it doesn't make sense to take out 100% of your lots. Take out 80 if you want, 75, whatever. While there's a high percentage for this to reverse, what are you going to do? Just, have a stop in there. So if it does reverse, you're going to still catch 95% of the move down with the remaining 20%. But what if it hits it, hesitates, and then breaks? Even if this is a convergence point down here in tab 29. Don't freak out because it's going to stop here. It won't necessarily stop there. What can happen with price? It can just snake. You thought it was a convergence, and lo and behold, we know one of the three types we can have for a convergence is a snake. And while the wave reads like that, don't forget this price is dropping. That's why this can't bend anymore. The fact is this is flat doesn't mean price is stable. It's dropping. So why exit here 100% when there's very little gamble to see if this thing runs, because you're only letting 20% or 25% of your lots have a slightly smaller takeout point. Make sense? So this is where the haul comes in. And if I have a 30-minute haul here and price starts to turn around and it actually goes red, with that 20% I have left, you know what I'm doing? Taking out 10. And I'm going to let 10 run now instead of the 30-minute haul, which this was. I'm going to put 10% on the 60-minute haul. Because price may just turn around enough that before it kicks in and the red haul and the 60-minute haul would turn red, it turns around and goes this way. Indeed, the 30-minute said, yeah, that's too far of a pullback. The 60-minute might not. This thing might drop another 100 pips. Let the profits run. You can protect yourself. Get over it. Do the math. Look at it logically. Do the math. Risk reward is in your favor. All right. Well, it's 110. If anybody has any questions about the waveology chart that we went over last week and didn't finish, and we postponed to this week, and now I took up all that time with a little soapbox and haul and some looking at money management. That chart is there. You can take a screenshot of it. It was posted last week, and put it in Facebook. And if you have, I have a question about number 7, I have a question about number 9, whatever, go ahead and do that. Yep, do the math. Or as I say in my freestyle and forks on Tuesday, do the math. Thanks for reminding me, Clay. Oh, hold on. No, there's the one you want to take the screenshot of if you want to take a screenshot of it. No problem. So, I'll be watching the groups a little bit more attentively since we're not doing OCRs. As always, ask your question. If it doesn't get answered in 24 hours, you can tag me in a comment, but do not tag me to a question when you first pose it and post it. All right? We have other people that have great experience at trading tab 29, great experience at trading in general, and they can answer many of the questions, which help me out, and I appreciate it. And you should do that if you can. Marianne's carried most of the load for the bronze group. Here lately, we've had other people jump in, which I much appreciate. Zoe's been making a good attempt. Tim, Todd, there's been people out, but You know, if you've been around for a few years, you got to remember what the groups have meant to you. And you need to give back a little to the budding bronze traders. They deserve it. And it doesn't take much. Green trades too. I mean, it takes about 10 seconds, 5 seconds to validate a green trade. I mean, purple into blue at an extreme. Come on. And that will help. All right. So look at your priorities. Take a good reflection of that over the weekend. What do you really want out of the Forex? And how are things going to be different? How are you going to get more time in your life? For those of you that have children, be aware the time demands actually get more, not less, as they get older. Because you have those cupcakes to bake, you've got scouts to go to, you've got the soccer practices and chauffeuring them around to games and homework. It just manifests itself in a different way. Right? I mean, Josh, how many kids you have, Josh? You have a big family, as I recall. Like 5? Yeah. And the ages span 4 to 15. Woo! Oh, my lordy. Bless you and your wife. Bless you and your wife. Yeah, busy for sure. Yeah, am I right though? I mean, you think it's busy when they're, you know, a baby, 2, 3. It doesn't get any better. Yeah, it's good reflection stuff. Good to see you too, Mark. I'm glad you were here. So guys, I'll be around. I'm not going anywhere. You know, you can still email me. You can still Facebook me, those that do. I'd prefer you take your questions to the various groups first. And if they don't get answered there, then tag me in a comment and I'll come and take a look at it. You know, we'll see how it goes for the next month or two. It's busy for me. I just couldn't do anything anyway until after Noah's event. By the way, those that are still on the edges at Noah's event are on the fence. Today's the last day for that pricing. You know, $9.95 down to $3.97, and $3.97 gives you 2 tickets for the live attendees. The live attendees also can come that day early. I'll be doing a trading, training, question and answer period the day before. And somebody puts on a Halloween mask and it's scary. They get to go to dinner with me and Noah on Thursday night. Imagine, he's going to spend Thursday is going to be his inner day. That's the whole head game thing. And imagine going to one of the best-selling authors on the head game and being able to pick his brain at dinner. Wow. So we're going to have some fun with that. If you can't be there live, there are streaming tickets for it. And you can share that with family. It's not something you're supposed to buy one and split it up with 10 buddies. And, you know, that's really copyright infringement. But you want to have a friend over at your house and you know, live stream for a couple days, that's fine. You'll have access to it for a lifetime, I believe. So, you know, that's cool. But outright emailing it to others or sharing it on social media to others is a violation. And same thing with that. The day before, for those who buy the live stream ticket, the day before, I'm going to do my best to have GoToWebinar open. And so you could just come anytime you want. I'll record it maybe in 2-hour blocks. And so for those who buy the live stream, if they can't be there that Thursday, I'll have it in 2-hour blocks. Again, it's a best efforts, you know, concept. If the signal isn't good or I can't get Wi-Fi in a room large enough, I have to move to a larger room, or if it's prohibitive that way, then unfortunately the live stream folks aren't going to get it. But I'm going to make a best efforts on that. Today's the last day for that promotional prodding. Scans, Forks, and Fibos. Forex, Scans, Forks, and Fibos group is where all that information is at. All right. Well, guys, it's been a blast. We came back for a little reprieve here after my move. We took a few weeks off, you know, a month off, and then we came back for 4 strong sessions. I hope you got some value out of this. You know, it's always good to know that you have. Don't tell me. Don't be a yes man and just tell me you got some value out of it. Because typically I do think about the session. Sometimes I prepare material in advance. And if there's just not enough value over what you already have with the videos and Facebook, then I don't need to do them. But I keep an open mind to doing more at some point, but it'd be after, you know, it'd be just a brief rush again between or before the holidays if I do something like that. Mostly I'm just planning on finishing off the year. So time to be your MacGyver. Time to, spread your wings and fly from the nest and do your volume of trades and discovery. See, here's my belief. That trader knows how I built the system. That trader knows how I built the training for the system. And so it was probably faster for him to go through and discover what I discover and I put down in words. That's, and video. That's the training. It's not something that was conjured and we try and make, the rules fit some fabricated system. The system was built out of trading, and the training was built and documented out of trading it. And so a lot of times you'll hear me, sometimes it comes across sarcastic, because probably it is a little, sorry. But you'll hear me say, oh, that's a hypothetical question. Because you're asking a question you can answer yourself once you take a volume of trades. I understand we all need starting points. I understand it's good to know where you're supposed to be headed, right? So I'm not trying to say you're supposed to learn everything on your own. It helps to speed that up. And my whole goal is to make you learn it faster than as fast as is possible. Because the sooner you fast and the sooner you make pips off of it, the better the word is on the street for the product, and the less I have to support you. So hypothetical questions are those you can answer yourself. So when you hear me say it, that's what it really means. But you have the tools. There's enough there, and it's proven over and over again. And this trader this past 2 weeks into his trading live since Sunday, that tells me the material's there. And you just have to decide what you want and when you want it, what you're willing to sacrifice, where your values are, where your priorities are, and what you're willing to sacrifice now to have something down the road. Last week's OCR was uploaded. Did I not post it? Yeah, that was uploaded Friday or so. Oh, I'm sorry. Somebody should have said something. Yeah, it's just sitting there waiting to be, what do you call that? File added to the groups. It's been sitting there in the files. I thought I uploaded it. Yeah, so I'll do these at the same time. I'll try and turn this one around right away and then add them both. Sorry about that. All right, well, I'm going to sign off. For those of you that are going down to Miami, Fort Lauderdale, I'll see you next week. Everybody else, I'll be around Facebook. Of course, IML TV still, for those that do IML TV. And really, really enjoy you guys. And, I always sign off by saying life can be short, so if the people you care and love, let them know you care and love them. And in the most sincere way, I really do love you guys. I've got many of you who have been here with me for years. Some, less than a year, some just a few weeks. But you can carve out time. We have, we're in the top 10% of attendance today. So that's pretty good. I like them to be well attended out of the potential that can attend. I think there's more value in the real sessions. But anyway, I have a big heart of gratitude. I do have a huge appreciation for all of you, regardless of where you are on your journey. I think we have something special. I know we do. You just have to have faith and belief in yourself and this system and the Forex, faith in your dream, and then reverse engineer it so you get the priorities right as you march forward each month, each week, each day, making sure they step into the week's goal. Your day steps into the week steps into the month steps into the year. Otherwise, you're just going to fall into a routine that doesn't have any plan, doesn't have any dates, and I'm just here to say, as you get older, life gets more complicated. It gets busier. And so if you can't find the time where you are now, at the age you are now, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, it's going to be even harder. So shake up that routine. Remember a couple weeks back, I posted a video from that actress, and I said, oh, this kid's got, she's really sharp behind her ears. Well, we've been talking a lot lately. And her real big thing is disrupt. It's kind of her genre inside the self-development world, and it's a cool thing. Disrupt. If you have negative thoughts, you need to disrupt them instead of allowing them to stay there. You need to approach stuff, as she says, from the kid's eye, always questioning things, always asking the why. I'm not talking about being obnoxious with why this, why that, why that, but question and put the why to your negative stuff. A couple years ago we had when the Seattle Seahawks won, and what's the quarterback's name at that time? Russell, right? And I remember his interview after winning the Super Bowl. He just said, because he was, he wasn't the big stuff, right? Russell Wilson. Yeah, thanks, Tiffany. He wasn't the big stuff. And he said, I just asked, why not me? Why not me? Nobody else is different. Nobody else is better. If there's the path to take it and it can be taken, why not me? And same way with any negative thoughts that you have. I don't know that I'll ever be that trader. Well, why do I say that? What stops me from being that trader? See, you don't want to hear the real truth. Sometimes you can't handle the truth. You don't want to hear it sometimes. Your subconscious mind is going to try and feed it to you like it's the truth to protect you, so you don't get all butthurt by not being successful yet. And so your subconscious mind, your ego is going to try and protect you, but ask why. Why am I feeling it's okay to not be there? Why am I feeling like my mind's making excuses for me? Disrupt all those things. That's what Rachel says, is disrupt it. Disrupt your routine. Change that routine that's so comfortable that you don't even think about changing it. But that routine you have is preventing you from having massive success. That routine is preventing you from having time and financial freedom 1, 3, 5 years from now. Why not you guys? Why not any one of you? Ask yourself why not. All right, I'll see you in Facebook land. See the rest of you that are going down to Miami. I've enjoyed this. Hopefully you have too. I'll see you in Facebook land.